Hello there, it's me, Elective ICT, and today's topic is an introduction to computer software. My email is quickbutton88@gmail.com, and my web is enable.greatsite.net, another free hosting site. 000 took me off, so I had to sign up to a different free host site. But yes, Elective ICT, an introduction to computer software. All right, so lesson code. Believe in yourself and all that you are, knowing that there's something inside you that is greater than any obstacle. Christian Larson. So believe in yourself and all that you are. Know that there's something inside you that is greater than any obstacle. That's a straightforward, so I don't think I have to waste much time here. So let me just move right into today's tutorial. So after this lesson, or at the end of this lesson, you should be able to define a computer software, know the ways through which software developers make their software available, learn the two types of computer software and their differences. The computer software. So I know we've been hearing of software. We've even used software before. And today we're going to look at what software is. So computer software. Now, computer software or software, yes, or again, program is a step-by-step instruction written by a computer programmer or a software developer that tells the computer what to do and then how to do it. So, computer software is basically a step-by-step instruction, meaning that your software that you use has to go through has to be in, meaning that the software that you use written by computer programmers are just sets of instructions. So it tells the computer what to do and then how to do it. So when you look at something like maybe it's Beacon, for instance, which is a software. So yes, examples include WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome, and then maybe it's Beacon. So when you look at maybe it's Beacon, for instance, which is a typing tutor or a typing software, basically helps people to learn how to type. It's running on instructions, and then it tells the computer what to do and how to do it. So once you launch maybe Beacon, your uh, keyboard, which is a computer hardware, is now activated automatically. Your mouse is also activated to run with the software, reason why you are able to use a keyboard to type. So the software, which is instruction, invokes the keyboard's capabilities in order to allow you, the user, to be able to type. So it's a step-by-step instruction. And then that software has to be written by a computer programmer or a software developer. That is not to say that you as an individual cannot write a software or cannot come out with a computer program. You can do that. But sometimes, just getting on YouTube, you can get all the codes on the internet and other places. But sometimes it's only fair and proper that you go through the software development lifecycle because that will help you to come out with good and then quality software, taking into consideration ethical issues and then the requirements that are needed. And then those will also increase the chances of people using your software. So yes, software are run on instructions. And WhatsApp, Facebook, they are all run on instructions and they are all developed by computer programmers or software developers. So something like WhatsApp, for instance, when you launch WhatsApp and then you pick a contact you want to chat with, your virtual keyboard pops up once you click in the chat box. So there's instruction that invokes your virtual keyboard to come up once you are ready to have a conversation with somebody. So software are written by software developers and they run on instructions. And then you have the examples there. And these are not the only examples. There are lots of them, but yes, with these examples, you can easily tell you can easily give other examples as well. So WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Mozilla, Firefox, Google Chrome, Baby's Beacon, as well as others are all software. Now, so this is the instruction. These instructions are in key basic. So these are key basic instructions, and then this will allow a user to enter two numbers after which it will calculate the sum of the two numbers the user entered. So you declare variables, that's the name one. as single, then num2 as single, and then dim2 tool as single. Then it prints outputting to the user that this program will add two numbers entered by the user. Then as the user to enter the first number, it takes input for the first number. As the user to enter the second number, it takes input for the second number and then calculate the first number and the second number the user entered, after which it will print the total result to the user. So yes, these are instructions, and then these will get a user to enter two numbers, and the program will calculate the two numbers that the user entered. And these instructions in QBasic, or these are QBasic instructions. Again, so there are a lot of programming languages, and QBasic is one of them. And I use QBasic because that is what you're expected to know in order to pass or write your final exams. But you can write this in C++, you can write this in Python, you can write this in any other programming languages because they all use instructions. They all use instructions. Or they use computer code, which, yes, instructions telling the computer what to do and then how to do it. Yeah, so forms through which software developments make their software available to end users. So forms through which software developers make their software available to end users. Is it so after going through, like I said, or I mentioned earlier, when you decide to develop a software, or should you make up your mind that you want to develop a software, it is only proper and fair that you go through the software development lifecycle, where you get a problem, where you have to do requirement analysis, where you have to do the design of the program before the actual coding, and then all those steps that are there, you test, you make sure that the program or the software is working properly, subjected to so many tests and other things. So after going through all these steps, okay, they are tedious. They are very tedious. So you don't want to go through a tedious step to develop a software and get no one to use the software. It is not a good thing. So once you develop a software, it is only fair and then proper that you come out with some strategies where you make it available to end users for them to use the software, because you develop the software for people to use it. So if you don't come out with some strategies or come up with some strategies, the software will be with only you, and then people will not get to know it. So end users, they come up with some strategies and then allow people to use it. Okay, these also form part of the licensing of software. And the licensing of software, but it's more, it's generally geared towards marketing strategies, kind of, in order for people to access the software, use it, and then later, if they want to buy it, they buy it. So yes, forms through which software developers make their software available to end users. So we have the open source software. So open source software is a software that is released under a license, which the copyright holder grants users the right to use, study, change, and then distribute the software and its source code to anyone, and then for any purpose. Some examples include Mozilla Firefox, VLC Media Player, Linux, and then Android. So with open source, the developer of the software chooses to make it public, give the right or grant users to modify, to do anything to the software, and subsequently own it. So with open source, the copyright holder grants users, so not just any user. Okay, let me make the point that not just any user, but people with knowledge, or people with vast knowledge, and how the software was developed, the programming language used, and other things that were used in order to get that software. So if you have vast knowledge in that, and the software is open source, meaning the source code is available, the code or the instructions that were used to come out with that software is available. So if you have knowledge in that, then you can take that particular source code, study it, change it, add onto it, use it, distribute it for any purpose. So it is out there, but this is not a public domain software. There's a fine line between open source software and then a public domain software. A public domain software has no legality. Okay, it has no legality. There's a legal there's a license making it illegal. But with public domain software, that legality is not there. So you can do whatever you want to do with the software, and then you can even own the software. But with this, there's license, and then there's the legal part of it. So making it the difference. So there's a fine line between open source and then a public domain software. But yes, open source and public domain software, they're available for you to do whatever you want to do with it. Now, for open source, you have to add onto it in order to own it, or in order to say that it is yours. So if I develop a software and then I put it in the public domain as open source, I still have the right to that software. You have to change or modify it, add something new to it, then you can say that, okay, fine, it is yours. So it's like Linux, Ubuntu, Kali Linux, and the rest. They all use the Linux, and then they are all built on Linux, I should say, yes. So they are all built on Linux, and gave it a different name, added some few things, and then they can claim ownership, but they all came from Linux. And with Android, it's also open source, but Android allows people to add to it. So if you're a programmer, you understand how to code, then you just have to add onto Android. So you add, you commit, and and then there's a version control, okay, GitHub for. So you add onto it, you commit, and then the owners of Android will check if it is okay, they allow it, they add it to it, it comes as update. If they don't, then they won't accept it, or they'll let you know that this particular code is not doing what it's supposed to do. So you can check, modify it, and do whatever it is. But with open source, there are owners, or there is someone in charge, unlike a public domain. But yes, once it's open source, you can do anything you want to do with the code, modify, change it, and then do whatever you see fit. But it has to be within the license that the copyright owner has granted you. All right. Then there is a closed source or proprietary software. So with a proprietary or closed source, is a software which a copyright holder reserves the right to use, modify, or share the software. So closed source software do not make their source code available. They do not make their source codes available at all. Some examples include Microsoft Windows, Microsoft Office, Adobe Reader, and then WinRAR. So with closed source, the source code that was used in developing that particular program or that particular software is not available. That one is not in the public. That one is not declared as open source. And again, with closed source or proprietary, the copyright holder, the developer of that particular software, reserves the right. So it doesn't give the right to people to use, modify, or share the software. No, the person reserves the right. So closed source mostly are purchased software, or they are freeware, and then sometimes, or not sometimes, and shareware. So they are, well, okay, we'll get to freeware and shareware. So let me just stay here. So with closed source is you have to purchase it and to use the software, but you can't modify it, you can't share it, and then you can't do anything. You can't add onto the software because the source codes are not available. And then with closed source, you get regular updates, you get maintenance, and those other things because you have purchased the software, or the developer of the software is still interested in the software. So they add updates and they maintain the software for you. Either you get it through freeware or shareware, or you purchase it outright. The updates, we get regular updates, maintenance, tips, and other things. So the source code is not available. And if you don't have the source code, you can't modify a software, you can't add on to a software. You probably have to build from scratch and then add features to it. That is very different. So with closed source, the software codes, the codes that made the software that that was used in developing the software is not made available. All right, so some differences between open source and then proprietary software. So open source and then proprietary. With open source, program source codes are available and then can be modified. It is licensed and available for free. Modification can be done by any knowledgeable person with expertise. Whereas proprietary program source codes are not available and cannot be modified. We can't modify what is not available. So yes, program source codes are not available and cannot be modified. It is licensed and not available for free. So I made a point that with proprietary, you have to purchase it, but there are some proprietary software that are freeware, and some are also shareware. So yes, it's not all of them that you have to purchase, but the source codes are not available. Whether you get it for free, the source code is not available. So you can only use the software, but you can't do anything to the software. And then modification can be done only by those who develop the software. So proprietary does not allow for collaboration because it is within all the those who it is within the domain of those who developed the software. Whereas open source allows for collaboration. And it allows for collaboration because you have a lot of programmers or a lot of experts joining in or coming on board to make the software better. So security wise, it is enhanced. But again, because the source code is available, people can also add bugs and other things that they're not supposed to for malicious purposes. So it's just about you knowing what is right, okay, knowing the reason why you want to make your software open source or want to make it proprietary, and that is totally up to you because the pros and cons are there, and then you have to weigh them before you decide which one to go in for, whether to make it open source or to make it proprietary. That is totally up to you. But yes, we thank all those who are making their software open source for us to also benefit, and those who are making it proprietary too. That is okay because we understand how tedious and the work involved to get or to develop a software. All right, so freeware. So freeware is a type of proprietary software that is released without charge to the public or at no monetary cost. What it means is that the software is licensed, the source code is not available, you can't modify, you can't change, you can't do anything to the software. The only thing you get to do is use it and then use it for free. So you don't pay anything, but you can't do anything to the software. You can't share it, you can't modify it, you can't do anything. Just use the software, and you don't pay anything for using the software. And then Skype is an example of freeware. You don't pay anything, you just use the software, but you can't do anything to it. And then I think Yahoo Messenger is also one. TeamViewer, I don't know if you know TeamViewer, but yes, Adobe Reader, yes, Adobe Reader, a PDF reader, Adobe is also a freeware. So freeware, yes, it is licensed, yes, the source code is not available, so you can't modify it, you can't study it, you can't do anything to it. But what you can do is to just use the software. So any software that you didn't buy, there's a difference between buying and cracking, which is a crime. So you don't have to crack a software. So if you crack a software because due to that you didn't buy, doesn't make the software freeware. Freeware, you don't crack them. They're like available. Just download and use, but you can't modify it, you can't share it, and then you can't do anything. Just use the software. And then there's shareware. Now, shareware is a type of proprietary software which is given out for free with limited functionalities or on trial basis until purchase. So with shareware, yes, or it also means that the source code is not available, it is licensed, and then you can't modify it, you can't share it, and you can't change it, you can't do anything. You just have to use it. So, and with shareware, yeah, you don't get to use the entire features or functionalities of the software. The software has been categorized. Let me put it that way. For shareware software, they've been categorized. So there is a free mode or there's a free plan for those who don't intend to buy the software. And then there is the premium plan for those who later would want to buy the software. So what it means is that you get to use the software for free without buying it, but you don't get to use all the features of the software. If there's a particular feature you want to use, then you may have to buy the software in order to use that feature. So if you don't buy the software, you're not using that feature or that functionality. And freeware also, shareware also sometimes, so shareware sometimes also have limited, not limited functionalities, they have limited time of use, especially usually 30 days. So shareware they have limited time of use, usually 30 days. So it's either you are using it forever for free, but with limited functionalities, or you're using it for free, but up to a given number of days. So 30 days, sometimes 14 days trial. So software that is 30 days trial, 14 days trial, and those kind of things are shareware. They are shareware in the sense that their functionalities are limited. So when you click on a particular feature or functionality, it tells you that you have to enter your credit card details. So once you see those things, it means that particular software is shareware. It has a lot of functionalities, but you can't use all of them because you have to purchase to use them. Or you get to use the software for free, but for some number of days, once the number of days you exhaust those number of days, you have to purchase the software. You can't do anything again. So yes, so things like this or any software you have seen like this is a shareware. And then these are ways, they also form part of the licensing. But yes, these are ways that software developers make their software available. It's part of the marketing strategy too, because once I develop a software and then I make it available, and I say if that's a freeware, I mean, you'll be happy to use the software and then use the software. And once you use the software, also, I stand to benefit in a way, okay, because I develop the software for people to use, not for me to put it in my room. So I can make it available for free for people to use it. Or I can make it a shareware where I make certain functionalities available for free. And then once you fall in love with the software and then you think it's okay for you, then you just have to purchase it and then make my money from there. So again, that's solely up to you, the one you think that is appropriate, whether to shareware or to freeware, that is solely up to you. But yes, you just have to know what shareware is and then what freeware is. And so some differences. So free to use with no limitations, and then shareware free to use but with limitations. All features are functional and operational for users to use, and then some features are functional and operational for only paid users. So these are the differences between freeware and then shareware. Then types of software. Types of software. There are only two types of software. There are only two types of software. And then we have the system software and then application software. But I won't get into them, the two of them, because there's a whole lesson on system software and there's a whole lesson on application software. But I want you to know that we have two types of software and there are only two types of software. There's a system software and then there is application software. All right, so the difference between a system and application software. Differences between system and application software. So system, they are mainly designed for managing system resources. So system software are designed for managing system resources. So system resources like the memory, like the hard disk, like the CPU, and then those other things that we have. So you need a system software to manage these resources. You don't need an application software to manage it. You need an application software to leverage on that, but you need a system software to manage these resources, how they allocate the resources, how the application software use those resources. So system software are mainly designed for managing system resources. Then programming of system software is complex. Yes, it's very complex if you are comparing it to application software. Application software nowadays are very easy to develop because there is a drag and drop programs that are available for it. Now building the website is very simple with WordPress or content management system. And now it's more easier with AI, where you just have to type in what you want to develop, so the idea, and then the AI program will just give you your website. So yes, now websites are not difficult to build, but again, it's so important that you get the basics right. That is your HTML, your CSS, and then your JavaScript. Once you get hold of these things, you can go ahead to use the AI. You can go ahead to use content management systems, and then any other software or AI that can help you to develop a website. But the point here is that system software are complex because they involve a lot of thinking, they involve a lot of planning, and you have to make sure that they are using the system resources efficiently, very efficiently. So data structures are needed here to be able to develop good system software to leverage on the system resources. But yes, programming application software are also difficult. Now, not difficult again, but if you are comparing the two, then Yes, application software is easy to develop than a system software. Then a computer cannot run without a system software. Yes, you can't have a computer without a system software. When you get to treat system software properly, you will understand why a computer cannot run without a system software. So if you have a computer and you don't have a system software, that computer is nothing. You can't use it for anything. Then a system software do not depend on application software. Yes, if you can't run a computer without a system software, then you should know that a system software do not depend on application software. A system software can run without an application software, without an application software. And then application software, they are designed to accomplish general or specific tasks. So application software are aimed at completion tasks or geared towards or focused on completion tasks. And then programming of application software is comparatively easy. Yes, computer can easily run without application software. So your computer will work if you don't have application software on the computer. So you buy a new computer, for instance, and you don't have any software on it. You get to use a computer. You get to use a computer to do calculations. You get to use a computer to I mean, there's camera features that you can even take picture and all of those things. So when you buy a computer for when you buy a fresh computer or a tear rubber computer, uh there are inbuilt well, you call them application that you can use. All right. If you don't have a third party software or application software, there are this inbuilt application software that comes with every new computer that you can use. But the point I'm making here is that without a third party application software, you still can't use your computer to do some basic things like drawing, like other things before you install third party application software. But if you don't have a system software, you can't use a computer to do anything. So that is the difference. And I'll be looking at both of them properly. Now, application software depend on system software and cannot run without a system software. And it is just that. Like, if you don't have a system software, you can't use an application software. You can't use an application software if you don't have a system software. So when we get to application software proper, I will explain these things for you to understand. I just don't want to explain them now because I'll be treating system software and then application software in our next meeting. I don't know when, but yes, I'll be doing a video tutorial on that. All too soon, we've come to the end of this tutorial. So try that hands on the following. So define a computer software, clearly distinguish between open source and closed source, application software, and then system software. Then define the following again: public domain software, open source, closed source, and then let's do examples of computer software. All right, so thanks for watching. Next tutorials will be on system software. Subscribe and keep the channel active.